and sports station, WHOW.
News time is 9 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast brought to you today by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. And the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Temperatures are going to be unseasonably warm this week with some rain on the back end of the week ahead. Rebecca Delaney at the National Weather Service in Lincoln told Regional Radio on the WHOW Morning Show Monday she is anticipating rain midweek and then returning for the weekend.
This week for Central Illinois, we're looking at the mid-70s to low 70s for our highs until this weekend. So right now we are in a high pressure regime. So that means we've got calm, beautiful weather, and the air is not going to be moving out of the area, bringing cold air until this weekend when we have that cold front coming from the Canada area. That cold front that is expected to move through this weekend is going to bring the rainy conditions and then temperatures dropping down into the 50s for highs. Actually, our overnights this week, the temperatures are going to be in the upper 50s to low 60s. Right now, our storm total amount is, some areas can get over 2 inches, but that's all we've determined right now for the weekend. We've got some rain showers coming in possibly on Tuesday night into Wednesday. And then we'll get about a day break, a day or two break. And then on Saturday, the showers are coming back in with that big cold front coming through, and we can start seeing that overnight Friday.
As we get to Halloween next week, Delaney says we're going to see a cold front roll in, and it is going to significantly cool things off as we get ready for a night of trick-or-treating.
So starting this weekend, we're going to be dropping down into the 50s for highs thanks to that cold front moving through, with lows potentially getting below freezing in some spots. And then for Halloween, this is the big forecast. It looks like we're going to be in near the 50s for the afternoon, and then it's going to get possibly below 32 that night. We're going to continue to see some below average temperatures. The Climate Prediction Center shows us having a good chance of below normal temperatures in the next 8 to 14 days.
November is showing trends for above average temperatures trends to average temperatures, that is, with above average rainfall, easing the drought that is developing through much of Illinois. We'll hear more from Delaney on that and more in the days ahead on Regional Radio. A local Department of Natural Resources authority is giving an update on the hunting season so far, and they're seeing a recurring theme of disregard for caution they've been harping on for a few years now. DNR Conservation Police Captain John Williamson on the WHOW Morning Show Monday told Regional Radio they've seen a couple of fatalities already this hunting season from hunters that did not give those tree stands a pre-check and ended up falling.
Unfortunately, the big thing we always talk about is tree stand safety. And we've had two fatalities and one major injury from some people falling from tree stands. It's a every year thing, and we can't get the word out enough. Is those safety straps? Make sure you get them. Make sure you use them. Make sure you check them. Make sure they're in good shape before you get up in your tree stands. Make sure you check those straps every year. You know, squirrels could chew on them, everything else. And I know at least one of them was strap failure when a hunter fell out and ended up being a fatal mistake. So you got to check those straps every time you get in a tree stand, but especially at the start of the year, get up there, check those tree stands, make sure they're safe for the year. One was in Shelby County.
As we approach the popular firearm deer season later next month, Captain Williamson reminds of the changes to the firearm regulations in Illinois. He notes this is a change similar to several neighboring states.
See, the big thing is when we're getting all the questions on is about rifles. This will be the first year that they are allowing centerfire rifles. Now, only certain calibers, certain styles of rifles. So if you're going to use one, make sure you look up on our website, make sure it's going to be legal. You know, I get a ton of questions about normal rifle calibers like a 308 or 30-06, 30-30. Those are illegal because they're bottleneck cartridges. They're not allowed. So it's a straight walled centerfire cartridge of at least 30 caliber. So probably some of the new ones are like your 350 Legend, that sort of thing is probably your new ones that are out there. So just make sure if you're going to take a rifle afield, it's got to be single shot and it's got to meet those requirements. Make sure you check our website and get all the information you need. So a centerfire rifle is a cartridge that has the primer in the center of the cartridge. So that is a centerfire rifle. The primer for the round is in the center of the cartridge.
Okay.
Like your 22 rifle. It just has it on the rim, but there's a primer in the center of the cartridge, and that's what it gets the name centerfire rifle. So the bullet that you put in your gun, at the very back of it, on the base of it, primer that goes in the very center of it. So when you hit that primer, that's what ignites the gunpowder in the bullet itself to shoot the bullet. This is something that's gone on. It's going on nationwide. Iowa, I know, has it. I think Indiana has started going down to the same sort of thing. So these are rifle calibers, but they're not the big rifle calibers that would be more dangerous. Like I gave an example of a 308 30-06. Those can shoot over 3,000 feet per second. They have a much more likelihood of ricochet, much more dangerous range. This is basically going to keep the same range of your muzzleloader / shotgun shooting a slug like we have now.
Okay.
But they're going to have a lot less recoil. You'll have the advantages of the bullet types, that sort of thing. So that's why they're doing it. They're not increasing range of your weapon that much, but they're safe to use and able to use a little more easily than some of those other weapons. I'm for it. I think it's a great thing. A lot of states are going to it. They're making guns specifically designed for it. And one of the main things that I like about it is even a 20 gauge gun, which is the smallest shotgun that you could get, put that into a youth hunter's hands and it would just kick the stuffing out of them. The recoil was when you look at what the recoil is for a 20 gauge shotgun, it's up for guns they used to elk hunt out west with. I mean, that's just how much recoil it is. Now you can use a much smaller bullet. Young hunters can shoot them, that sort of thing, and not get punished for pulling the trigger.
With the weather starting to cool, Captain Williamson anticipates an uptick in outdoor activity as well.
You know, we started off with bow season October 1st, which is kind of the first big season to kick off and start off really warm. But now we're getting some better weather and guys are getting out. It seems like they're having some success. So doing pretty good. Absolutely. Especially deer season. You know, if it starts out cool, it seems like we have a good first weekend. If it starts out warm, it seems kind of slow and then kind of builds from there. So just depends on the weather and deer movement. And that's kind of what the hunters look for. They seem to be pretty strong. We got a few calls about EHD. So some areas were hit with EHD a little bit. One area that was, I think, down in Macon County got hit pretty hard, but really localized, nothing widespread, which is good for deer hunters. Talked about it before that when the droughts come, that's when EHD kind of rears its ugly head. You have your bucks during mating season, they'll expand their range, all that sort of stuff. But usually the does and fawns, they stay around pretty much a core area. Bucks do mainly for quite a while until it gets to be the time of year when they're going to go out and on the hunt for does, then they'll expand their range.
Captain Williamson implores motorists to be mindful of deer being more active with the fall harvest in full swing and the hunting seasons all going on. He indicates they'll be very active for the next few months, so watch out for them, especially in rural areas. For the first time in 25 years, the National Weather Service in Lincoln is installing new radar. As a result, the National Weather Service is out of commission for 2 weeks as construction workers work with cranes to replace the radar. While it's out, the National Weather Service in Chicago and St. Louis will cover central Illinois. Ed Shimon is the warning coordinator meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Lincoln.
It's the foundational support of that whole dish, and it's the main component, basically, besides, all the equipment, transmitter equipment. But without that, the radar would be down for a long time if it failed, without us having taken care of this particular upgrade. Well, we're doing the fourth phase of the Service Life Extension Program, which is replacing our pedestal that holds the radar dish and spins it around continuously all year long. Service Life Extension Program has an 8-year span that's been covering, and it's ending this year. Then that's the entire National Weather Service nationwide. But Lincoln's upgrades have, I think, been going on over the last 5 years or so.
The replacement is part of a $135 million 8-year National Weather Service's nationwide program. National Weather Service has a network of over 150 operational radars. News time is 19 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday. Plenty more to get to coming your way on the WHOW Morning Show.
Looking for Chevrolet inventory? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. We have the all-new Chevrolet Trax, Blazer, and Trailblazers coming. Plus, several Chevrolet Equinoxes and Traverses are here. This month, take advantage of extra $1,000 trade-in assistance on your trade. There's always a need for quality trades here at Baum's. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
News time is 19 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. Dry, warmer days last week allowed producers to continue to make progress in the fields, as we hear in this weekly crop report. Crop statistician Mark Schleusner says nearly 5 days were suitable for field work last week.
The weather was warm and dry for most of the Prairie State last week. Temperatures averaged 53.5 degrees, and that was 1/2 degree above normal for this time of year. Rainfall averaged 0.23 inches, and that was 1/2 inch below normal. There were 5.4 days suitable for field work last week, and topsoil moisture was rated 8% very short, 33 short, 57 adequate, and 2% surplus.
Corn harvest is 70% complete, while soybean harvest is 80% complete, both ahead of last year and the 5-year averages.
Corn harvest in Illinois reached 70% finished on Sunday. That compares to 62% 1 year ago and 67% for the 5-year average. The Illinois soybean crop was 80% harvested, compared to 75% 1 year ago and 71% normally.
Winter wheat continues. Schleusner says pasture conditions saw 0% in excellent condition.
Winter wheat planting was 73% finished, compared to 63% 1 year ago and 66% normally. 36% of acres had emerged. In terms of conditions, pasture conditions were rated 45% very poor to poor, 35% fair, and 20% good, with 0% excellent.
USDA NASS will soon begin collecting corn and soybean yield data from producers across the country, so Schleusner hopes they'll be prepared for those outreach efforts in the near future. Thanks to rising prices and record inflation, farmers in central Illinois are at a crossroads on the future of labor on the farm. John Ackerman owns the Ackerman Family Farms in Morton and says his problems lie with the rapid minimum wage increases.
It is difficult, to be honest. Our prices are rising like crazy. We've come off a few good years, but I'm concerned. You know, I've seen a small drop in sales. I attribute it to worries about the economy and inflation in general. One of the big things that we run up against is the rapid increase in minimum wage here. You know, we commonly employ teenagers, their first job. We usually have between 25 and 30, often young men and women here. The minimum wage has gone from 8-something to it will be 15 in about a year and a half. Our biggest expense is labor, and that means our biggest expense has nearly doubled inside of about a 5 or 6 year period.
So are you facing the factor of, okay, I could either buy a new tractor or I could hire a couple of farmhands? Are you facing that on your farm?
Well, it's partly that. It's where do you allocate your resources? But another part of it is I've enjoyed, my wife and I both have enjoyed mentoring young men and women for the last 24 years. Maybe well over 300 young men and women as their first job. We teach them to be good worker, and they just become part of our family here. But if I'm paying $15 an hour, is it to the point where now I should be looking at adult labor? There's a lot of Latino laborers that are fantastic around this area. Do I have to give up being part of that teaching mentality and accept the fact that I can't afford to train someone at $15 an hour?
Usually, Ackerman employs 25 to 30 workers on his farm, but with increasing costs, he could slash that number next year. At Ackerman Family Farms, John grows over 160 varieties of pumpkins for major producers like Libby. A livestock analyst says larger than expected cattle feedlot inventories now mean lower supplies and higher prices by mid-2024. Gary Crawford has this report. 5 laboratories within the National Animal Health Laboratory Network are announced among a partnership of USDA animal disease research facilities, improving detection threats. Rod Bain has this report. News time is 27 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday. Coverage of news is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Beacon Insurance agent in Clinton. As we come up on 7:30 on this Tuesday, stay with us for network news. Following the network, a look at that local sports report. We continue to look back at our coverage from Saturday night's playoff pairings that were released. We talked with coaches from across Central Illinois. This morning, we take a look at the Heart of Illinois Small Division, a resurgence in the Heart of Illinois Small Division led by a couple local teams. That's next.
Central Illinois' leading online source for local news, police blotter, for the record information, obituaries, and more is DeWittDailyNews.com. Since 2008, DeWittDailyNews.com has delivered fresh, online content to internet readers. From the City Council, to School Board, to the County Board, and more, DeWittDailyNews.com covers the local news you expect from the area's #1 local news source, and it's all absolutely free. Now you have even more ways to access DeWittDailyNews.com. Whether you're at your desktop, laptop, tablet, iPhone, or smartphone, DeWittDailyNews.com is delivered to all those platforms. That's right. It's even there on your iPhone and smartphone. The same local news, weather, and sports that's on the full-size edition is on your iPhone and smartphone just by going to DeWittDailyNews.com. If you haven't tried it, why don't you? Go to Central Illinois' leading online source for local news, police blotter, for the record information, obituaries, and more on your desktop, laptop, iPhone, or smartphone, DeWittDailyNews.com.
Central Illinois' most listened to agricultural radio station, WHOW, provides the latest farm news online. By directing your browser to IllinoisFarmRadio.com on your favorite electronic device, you'll find the guest list for this week's WHOW morning and noon farm shows, the latest commodity prices, and farm news from the USDA, Illinois Department of Ag, Illinois Farm Bureau, and more. Bookmark this URL on your favorite device, IllinoisFarmRadio.com, IllinoisFarmRadio.com, and be in the know.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. 2 elderly Jewish women are the latest hostages to be released by their Hamas captors in Gaza. Their release comes days after a couple of Americans were let go. Still, though, more than 200 hostages being held by the terrorists. Israel's aerial assault on Hamas targets in Gaza continues, along with Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. A Stellantis plant in Sterling Heights, Michigan, the latest target of the auto workers' strike. UAW President Sean Payne says that while there has been some progress in contract talks, it's still not enough to end the walkout. House Republicans have scheduled another private vote today as they look to select a speaker nominee from among the 8 candidates currently in the running for the post of Speaker of the House. On Wall Street, the Dow futures up 126 points. More details at srnnews.com.
The United States
With SRN Sports, I'm Michael Harrington. We begin with Major League Baseball playoff action last night of the Texas Rangers. They win the American League pennant behind another big game from Adolis Garcia.
The Rangers are headed to the World Series for the first time in 11 years after Adolis Garcia homered twice in an 11-4 Game 7 win over the Astros. Corey Seager collected 3 hits, including a home run that started a 3-run first inning for the Rangers. Garcia finished with 4 hits, drove in 5 runs, and was named ALCS MVP.
That's correspondent Adam Spillane. Tommy Pham and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. hit back-to-back homers, and Merrill Kelly struck out 8 to help the Arizona Diamondbacks force a Game 7 in the National League Championship Series with a 5-1 win over the Phillies. The winner of Tuesday night's game advances to the World Series against Texas, which beat Houston on Monday. As we heard, Diamondbacks came ready for Game 6 to back up some bold predictions. This is SRN Sports. Moving on to NFL Monday Night Football. Kirk Cousins connected with rookie Jordan Addison for 2 first-half touchdowns. Cameron Bynum intercepted San Francisco's Brock Purdy twice in the fourth quarter. And the Vikings beat the 49ers 22-17. Christian McCaffrey scored twice for the Niners. They lose their second straight game for the first time in a 34-match stretch and fall to 5-2. The Vikings improve to 3-4. In the National Hockey League, one match yesterday, Jake Allen made 36 saves to lead the Montreal Canadiens to a 3-1 win over the Buffalo Sabres, made several big stops in net to help them to their second straight win. NBA, yep, they're coming back. The season begins tonight. Damian Lillard went to Milwaukee, Bradley Beal to Phoenix, Drew Holiday ended up in Boston, Chris Paul with Golden State. It was a busy offseason. Victor Wembanyama, of course, arrived in San Antonio. Nick Nurse took over in Philadelphia. LeBron James is now the oldest player in the league. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. Last season, the Heart of Illinois Small Division had 0 playoff teams. Now it has 3, and the Resurgence has been led by the turnarounds at LeRoy and Heyworth. LeRoy football coach B.J. Zalesnik felt coming into this season they were cautiously optimistic they could be a postseason team.
Hey, you have to be cautious when you haven't been in the playoffs since 2018, and you know it just feel like you're a little bit snake bitten. And yeah, we were cautiously optimistic. We thought we had an opportunity to be pretty good, and things just worked out for us. Well, we obviously run the football. That's what we've always done, and done a good job of that. We're over the 3,000-yard mark in rushing through 9 games, and we've got a pretty balanced attack. We run a triple option, flexible on offense, and quarterback, fullback, wingback play has all been solid. We've got some decent size up front. We've put some points on the board, and that's helped. But the one thing that we're vastly improved this year is on the defensive side of the ball. In years past here, we've struggled to stay in games because our defense couldn't stop people. This year, our defense has allowed our offense to kind of figure things out and get going in the second quarter, and we've not given up too many big plays, and it's been a good combination for us this year.
Last year, Heyworth nearly did not have the numbers to even field a team. This year, they've turned it around. The 7-2 Hornets will host a first-round playoff game. Coach Nate Albach credits his kids for staying with things through the adversity of last season.
Well, thank you. It's been a long road, and we've got a handful of guys that have been with us, have been with me anyway since day one when I took over, and now those guys are juniors and seniors. And like I said, it's just been a long road. And priority one was just kind of revive the program just with numbers. And now that we've got our numbers, I don't think anyone ever has their numbers where you want them, but they're healthy enough to have a good program. And we've got some very talented players, and they really love the game. They play so well together. They play so hard for each other. We also were fortunate enough to get a few new teachers in the school that are also coaches. And everything just kind of came together. Talented kids and a complete staff and a plan that we wanted to stick to. And sure enough, you start playing good football. We run the football like crazy. And I think that at the beginning of the year, a lot of our fans might have been a little frustrated with how much we ran it. Now at this point, I think they've latched on to that being our identity. So we got really good, talented crew of running backs, and our quarterback, Parker Bell, does a great job distributing. We got a little sophomore, Braden Brucker, at fullback, and then he's flanked by two wings that are both seniors, and Tyler Wills and Cooper Johnson. And those guys really spearhead the attack offensively. Defensively, just not very big, but, man, the kids just play hard, and they swarm to the ball, and they don't allow very many big plays. So a team has to put long drives together to score. And when you force a team to do that, once in a while they'll make mistakes.
For Coach Zalesnik, the energy his team has been a catalyst to their success. He also credits the group for being very close.
I love our energy. I love our energy. They are as close a group as we've had in years. Just that the juniors and seniors really click. We've got a huge junior-senior group, and that's helped, obviously, being older, being experienced. But we've got, around 30 juniors and seniors, and they do everything together. They get along, they have fun, and, man, do they play with a ton of energy. And that just goes such a long way in football, especially in high school football with the teenage psyche. And they have a lot of fun. They play with a lot of enthusiasm. So it's been a joy to watch.
For Coach Albaugh, there were a couple of moments in the midst of the season. He knew he could have a playoff team on his hands. He felt their Week 9 victory over GCMS provided the confidence to his team they could consistently win and compete with good teams.
That's a great question. We talked about it last night to our boys. When we beat DMAC, it was an excitement to be a part of the conversation. And then by the time we were playing, by halftime against Gibson City, you knew you were part of the conversation. You knew that you were actually a legitimately good football team. So both of those wins were very unique, without a doubt. Both great for our program, great for our community. The one over DMAC was the kids seeing for the first time what they were capable of, and the one against Gibson City knowing that they can do it repeatedly, potentially.
Heyworth will host Hardin Calhoun Saturday at 2, while LeRoy draws Villa Grove Saturday at 1. Rookie Tyson Bedgett helped lead the Chicago Bears to their first home win in more than a year with quarterback Justin Fields sidelined. It looks as though the rookie will get another chance to start this week. Bedgett is in line to be behind center again, with Fields doubtful to play and likely missing his second consecutive game because of a dislocated right thumb, according to Coach Matt Eberflus on Monday. Bedgett delivered a steady performance in a 30-12 win over Las Vegas Sunday. Undrafted after a record-setting career at Division II Shepherd University in West Virginia, he led the 3 touchdown drives in his first start, and the 2-5 Bears won for the second time in 3 games after losing 14 in a row. Bedgett took over after Fields was injured in a Week 6 loss to Minnesota against Las Vegas. The Bears simplified the game plan and relied on short passes and handoffs. He went 21 of 29 for 162 yards and a touchdown, helping Chicago stop a 10-game home losing streak. Running back Deontay Foreman, the 6-year pro, ran for 89 yards on 16 attempts and recorded his first 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing and 1 receiving since signing with the Bears in March. Not bad for a player who was a healthy inactive in weeks 2 through 5, with Khalil Herbert on injured reserve and rookie Rashawn Johnson sidelined with concussions the past 2 games. He has taken advantage of his opportunity. Foreman had 65 yards on 15 carries against Minnesota. The Bears have not won 2 in a row since week 16 and 17 of the 2021 season. Packers coach Matt LaFleur says he still believes in quarterback Jordan Love, even as Green Bay's offense continues to struggle at the start of games. The Packers have been outscored 63-6 in the first half of their last 4 games. They trailed 9-0 midway through a 19-17 loss in Denver Sunday. Coach LaFleur says their confidence in Love is not wavering one bit. Although the Packers overhauled their roster to get much younger this year, they're delivering the same poor October results they produced last season. Last year, Aaron Rodgers' Packers followed up a 3-1 start by losing 5 straight. Love has Green Bay on a 3-game skid. The 2022 Packers dug their way out of that hole and had control of their postseason destiny before losing at home to the Detroit Lions. in the final week of the season. This year's Packers have not shown they're capable of making a similar run. They lack experience, they can't stay healthy, and they start way too slow. The only encouraging sign is that 3 of the Packers' 4 losses were decided by a total of 7 points. After averaging 31 points over the first 2 games, the Packers have not exceeded the 20-point mark in any of their last 4. The NFL's youngest offense lost veteran tackle David Bakhtiari to a season-ending knee injury after 1 game. Running back Aaron Jones, the Packers' most proven playmaker on offense, has been dealing with a hamstring injury that forced him to miss 3 games and limited to no more than 11 touches when he's played. Even after rallying to pull ahead in the second half of each of their last 2 games, the Packers lost both because they could not protect fourth-quarter leads. Green Bay's defense has been pretty good, but not when it matters most. But it's hard to put much blame on a defense that's allowed fewer than 20 points in each of its last 2 games. The offense simply must get better, much better. The Packers have lost their last 6 October games. Their last October victory came in overtime over New England on October 2nd last season. Get sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is the RFD Livestock Report. I'm DeLoss Yonke. Few are safe from food inflation. That includes the cost of butter. Significant prices these days. What's all behind it? Chris Gayland is the executive director of the American Butter Institute under the umbrella of the National Milk Producers Federation.
Well, first off, obviously, farmers as well as butter processors don't set retail prices. So retailers are free to charge whatever they want. It tends to be a case where